misplace those memories.
Every time. Hello guys, welcome back to another Going Umbral. Today we are looking at probably the best stealth warframe in the entire game. Sorry Loki, sorry Ash, sorry Banshee, but it's time for Ivara to take the stage. So, first of all, you may notice this is the first Umbral build I've done with a full loadout of weapons. I shall explain that in a bit. But with this build, I had so much fun. So much fun. Nothing is more satisfying than getting up high and raining down silenced explosives on a whole group of enemies. It was just so fun. Anyway, let's go through our powers. Quiver. Cycle through and shoot one of 4 tactical arrows. Cloak, dash wire, noise and sleep. In a conclave, use the null shield and slow arrows. Now, cloak is mostly for your teammates. Like if you're running a sabotage or something and you want to go super sneaky, cloak arrow is where that shines. Dash wire we are going to be relying on quite a lot, along with noise and sleep arrows. And as you can see, the bubble radius is 3.55 meters. We have a 13-second duration on the bubble. Noise radius 28.4 meters. That is a very considerable area. So essentially, enemies within 30 meters are going to be like, what's that? Go to that. I can gather them all up, use a sleep arrow, and then rain down silence destruction. A sleep radius of 8.5 meters is not a huge area. That's why you really need enemies to gather up before you launch a sleep arrow. However, we do have 11 seconds of duration on our sleep, and that synergizes with some of our weapons. I will explain that in a little bit. Navigator is a very fun ability. However, it's not one that I personally use quite a lot. Assume control of a projectile and guide it to the target. Now you can do some pretty funny stuff with the Zenithstar and Navigator, because during Navigator the Zenithstar's energy disk will flare up, and with a primed reach or a normal reach on there, you can do some pretty funny stuff with it. Any kind of projectile affected by Navigator does gain a 5 times damage multiplier. With our current build, it only costs 0.75 energy a second, and the multiplier growth is 0.80 times. So it's not very big. However, we can sustain our powers for quite a long time and spam if we need to. Prowl, the main focus of the build, and how we're going to achieve a stealth bomb in Ivara. So, become invisible and steal loot from unexpected enemies, or take out prey with deadly headshots. Yes, you do get a damage multiplier from headshots with Prowl. I don't think it's moddable, so I think it's just a flat 1.4 times multiplier. Now the steal time for this build is 2.23 seconds. It's a bit lengthy. I have tried to get that down as fast as low as I could. However, any lower than this current time really hurt the build a lot. We have a range of 5 meters to steal loot from enemies, which is quite handy. But here's the real kicker of the build. not only do we get 100% extra loot, it only costs 0.25 energy a second. That is fantastic. Mainly because with 50 energy, so I've been running spy missions with Ivara quite a lot to level up some weapons, and on 50 energy I can hack Terminal A and B with just 50 energy. But with a full energy bar, I can go ages into a spy or survival or whatever and not have to worry. Artemis bow. Now, the Artemis bow is pretty powerful. It really is. And there is actually an augment for this called concentrated arrow. So for those who don't know, the Artemis bow fires 7 arrows with 100% power strength. The more power strength you have, the more arrows you fire. With concentrated arrow, you forego the multi-shot. So you don't shoot multiple arrows, you shoot one arrow. However, that arrow does, I believe, 20 times damage? I don't know, I don't really have the augment for it. But it's very substantial damage. And can actually nuke stuff. I did consider that, but however, I wanted the excuse to use the lens and the cold star. And this build gave me that excuse. Ivara does have a pretty handy passive. Senses nearby enemies. Now, during one of your mastery tests, I believe it is rank 18, you have to do an undetected rescue. This is where Ivara shines. During that mastery test, because you can see where they are. You can sneak up behind them, shank them with a covert lethality dagger, and be on your way. And it is a lot of fun. She is a very good warframe, especially for stealth, sabotage, any kind of stealth mission. Ivara is gonna shine. Anyway, for the build, we have corrosive projection for negative enemy armor, just so our lens is gonna hit more like a truck. Umbral Intensify and Umbral Vitality to help us maintain 100% power strength. Now if you do go to less than 100% power strength, the loot you steal goes down. So as you saw, we had 100% chance at extra loot. Basically, if you go to something like 20%, you will only have a 20% chance to steal that loot. So do keep that in mind. With an Ivara Prowl build, you want to really aim for that 100% power strength. Right, you may notice we don't have Hunter's Adrenaline on Ivara. That is because we don't need it. We're going to be in Prowl like 99% of the time. And odds are, enemies aren't going to see us. All of our weapons are silenced. Enemies aren't going to see us. So obviously we're not getting hit. And upon not getting hit, we're not going to get the benefit from Hunter's Adrenaline. So that freed up a mud slot for me. So we have Power Drift for power strength and a chance to resist knockdown. Always handy, especially when invisible. You don't want to be knocked down. Especially if you fired a weapon or done a stealth takedown and an enemy has seen you. If an enemy suspects you are in an area, they will shoot that area. And if you've been knocked down after you've come out of that stealth takedown, that it could be a very nasty situation. We have Streamline and Fleeting Expertise for ability efficiency, basically making our powers cost practically nothing. I mean, with an energy pool of 525, we can keep up our powers and spam our powers as much as we want, which is very fantastic. We have Overextended for ability range and negative ability strength. Ideally, you do want to maintain about 150 range with the build. We have narrow-minded for ability duration and negative range, just because you do want to maintain duration as well to get a decent sleep. To get a decent sleep duration on your arrows and all your powers. We have Infiltrate, the mod that makes Ivara the best stealth warframe there is. Prowl Augment. Ivara is able to bypass laser barriers, which any other stealth warframe would immediately set off the barriers and set off the alarms. Plus, you gain a 25% movement speed, which on Prowl, without Infiltrate, you do move quite slow. So that movement speed boost is pretty handy. And of course, we have Flow, replacing Hunter's Adrenaline.
Marked on navigation.
Okay, Lois. Flow is replacing Hunter's Adrenaline because we're not going to be getting hit. So obviously, having a high pool of energy is just going to be huge to us. Now, for the fun part of the build, the weapons. We are using the lens. This has not been built for status. It is mostly a crit variation of the lens. So, we have Serration for damage, Vigilante Ornaments and Split Chamber for multi-shot. Plus, we do get that 5% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. While it's not a big chance, it still procs fairly reliably. So now, we fire 2 bolts from the lens, and a 50% chance to shoot a third. Point Strike, bringing our crit chance up to a very fantastic 125% chance. Right, that is huge. We're going to get consistent procs on our Hunter's munitions. It's going to be a very fun time. Vital Sense for crit damage, we are at 4x4 critical multiplier. Vital Acceleration. Now the lens is a charge weapon, and in so, fire rate doesn't decrease the charge time of the bow. Like without Vital Acceleration, we are sitting at a 1.220 charge speed. That is a bit lengthy. Now, you can use something like Speed Trigger. However, I prefer Vital Acceleration because you get more fast fire rate, which means a shorter charge time. The only trade-off is you're sacrificing 15% of damage, which I know for some people that may be like, whoa, that kind of hurts. But honestly, the way, like, I watched a YouTuber explain this. The best way to explain it is essentially you're taking 15% off of Serration. Like, that's the way that the YouTuber I watched explained it. And now I don't mind putting Vital Acceleration on weapons, because I know it's just a minimal sacrifice from Serration. But yeah, that's the build. With this current setup, you will get procs from Hunter's munitions quite reliably, and they are going to hit like a truck. Now, the secondary weapon we have bought for Ivara is the Cold Star. Originally, I was going to show this weapon off with just the lens and the Rakta Dark Dagger. However, I found that sometimes I ran out of ammo in my lens, and there was still a group of enemies on the floor. I decided I needed another auxiliary weapon for Ivara. So I looked around, weighed up all kinds of secondary weapons, and then I came across the Coaster. And I thought, okay, let's have a look into this. And honestly, it's exactly what I needed. Now, originally this is an alarming weapon, however we do have suppress on it to reduce the chance of the enemy will hear gunfire. We also have the hush mod on the lens, I forgot to point that out. So we have Hornet Strike for 140% damage, Auger Pact for a 90% damage boost, which is quite considerable, Pistol Pestilence and Jolt for corrosive, Pistol Ammo Mutation. The Cold Star only has, I believe it's 19 shots in total. So Pistol Ammo Mutation is a very big yes on this weapon. We have Lethal Torrent and Barrel Diffusion for 180% multi-shot plus a 60% fire rate. And honestly, all this coupled together make the Cold Star a very powerful weapon. Now for the final part of Ivara's arsenal, we have the Raktadat Dagger. Now, I knew for a fact I wanted to use a dagger with Ivara. Her being a stealthy frame she is, it would have been a silly point on my part if I didn't use a dagger. So I was looking at daggers, none of them were really pointing out to me. However, I came across the Raktadat Dagger, and honestly, it is exactly what Ivara needed. So, the Raktadat Dagger has two unique traits to it. One, it reduces your detection range, which is pretty handy. I mean, we're not going to be seen anyway, but in case we bump into an enemy, it reduces our detection range from other enemies. Two, if you hit an enemy that's been hit with a radiation proc, you do get overshields, which is very handy with Ivara, because we're not going to be seen, so if we're hitting an enemy with the Raktadat Dagger, yes, it is only a 38% chance to inflict that radiation. However, when we do, and we hit the enemy, we are going to be getting overshields, which is going to help our survivability a little bit. But not only that, if we do stealth takedowns, we have Covert Lethality for an extra 100% extra damage on melee attacks, or lethal damage on finishers. That means if you sneak up behind an enemy and shank him one, you're going to do pretty absurd damage. And of course, we have, I believe it's a blast proc from the Syndicate Bomb on this weapon. So Galenian Blight offers 1 Blight and 100% status chance. As you can see, not really a considerable booster status chance. However, the Blight radius does restore a bit of health, and I forget what the other perk of the explosion is. Yep, it's out there. Each one. Bye. Woo. Right, we have Prime Fury for attack speed, Pressure Point for extra damage, Spills Strike for even more damage, and we're still going to be swinging quite fast because of Prime Fury, Virulent Scourge and Voltaic Strike. No. Volcanic Edge and Voltaic Strike to buff up that radiation proc, and Virulent Scourge just for a bit of toxin damage over time. Now, for the Artemis bow. Ooh, wrong section. So, as you can see, basically pure damage crit status. We have Serration, 135% damage, multi-shot thanks to Split Chamber and Vigilante Armaments. oh, excuse me, we have a meme mod with hammer shot. Now, you may be thinking, oh my god, why are you putting hammer shot on this? Honestly, hammer shot works fantastic with the Artemis bow. That coupled with Vital Sense, we have a 5.6 times multiplier, and with a 62% chance to do a crit chance to do critical hit, we are going to be hitting like a truck. Like running spy missions, I can hit for like 17,000 damage, which is quite considerable. Point Strike to boost up our critical chance to 62.5. High Voltage and Malignant Force to boost that corrosive chance. And of course, Vital Sense and Hammer Shot for critical damage and status chance. And as you can see, the Artemis bow hits like a truck. There's an innate 1 meter punch through, and nearly, I would say nearly 1500 damage, probably even a bit more in raw damage. But enough explaining. That is all the weapons I have chosen for Ivara, as per usual. Now originally I wasn't going to go for Sanctuary Onslaught. During my testing I was going to go for a stealth mission like a spy or something. However, I figured I'd be breaking tradition if I didn't take Ivara into Sanctuary Onslaught. Now, your first mandatory thing if you do take Ivara into Sanctuary Onslaught, if you do use this build, go into Prowl straight away.
Kill everything you encounter. Do not relent.
Your main priority is staying away from Xmas and nullifiers. The one bad default about this build is that Ivara lacks a way to shred nullifier bubbles. Right. Nope, wrong one. There we go. So now we can pickpocket the enemies. And we can stealth nuke them because they can't do nothing. Now, bringing Ivara into Sanctuary Onslaught, you need to know, you need to hope RNG is on your side and you drop an energy orb. Because without an energy orb, exactly this happens. And there's one thing Ivara is not built for, is for taking a deadly hit. Especially because we don't have Hunter's Adrenaline boosting up our energy. Right, let's go to the coaster. Yeah, because we don't have Hunter's Adrenaline giving us energy, we need to rely on any energy orb we can find, because that will happen. Obviously in a mission like survival or something that you can restore energy with energy pads, Ivara performs quite a lot better. Okay, let's go into Prowl. There we go. This build very much relies on you staying in Prowl. Like, that is given. That is pretty much given. Prioritize any energy orbs, especially if your energy is running low. And you also need to kind of conserve the energy orbs. So if you're at, say, 510 energy, don't waste an energy orb that gives you 25 energy just to get an extra 15. So you see all the energy orbs decided to drop as soon as the ball activated. What we got? Right, we got Corpus. With the lens. With the Prowl. Oh, that's Navigator. But yeah, if you can maintain your energy, it's a nice relaxing build to play. However, if you have things that keep on draining your energy, or you can't maintain that energy, you will have to engage and find a way to restore that energy with this build. How dare you run away? As you see, very effective to stealth bomb enemies. Once you get into a certain rhythm of playing this build, but it can take you very far. Also, do be aware the lens can do self-damage to you, so be aware of that when you're using it. That's why I'm trying to hit where I'm trying to hit and stay out of the bubble range. But as you can see, nice and relaxing. Once you can get that a considerable energy pool up and nothing's draining you, as you can see, nice and relaxing. You just want to farm Sanctuary Onslaught. However, do be aware your efficiency probably will fail at zone 3. I doubt we'll get to 4. But honestly, you're probably going to be playing with a group. Let's try a noise arrow. There we go. Noise arrow, always for the win. Prowl. And whip out the coaster.
I need more conflict.
Grab them all together so we can nuke a group. There we go. Honestly, it's my favourite way of playing Ivara, this. As you can see here, the Cold Star does a fairly good job of dealing with nullifiers. However, it does deflect the bomblets that the Cold Star leaves. Also be aware, like the lens, the Cold Star does do self-damage. So be at a considerable range when using it, otherwise you're gonna die. Where'd that guy go? I saw the nullifier here. Where are you? There you go. Don't you run away from me, boy. Right, like see, we're out of energy. So obviously, you have to get back into the fight. you can get a considerable pool of energy. Yeah. I think the main downfall about this build is that outside of Prowl, Ivara is very squishy, and you can do moments like that, where essentially you blow yourself up. Sneaky, sneaky. But if you're doing casual play and you can maintain that energy pool, by all means, it is a very fun build to try out. Right, we ran out of efficiency, but still, the start of Zone 4 for this kind of setup, I think did very well, personally. So, pretty much that's it. If you like playing Ivara and you like explosions, I would highly suggest you give this build a go. It's got stealth, it's got power. Outside of stealth, you lack survivability. But let's face it, odds are most of you guys are going to be playing survival or basic missions that you just run through and restore energy at with your energy pads. So odds are you're going to be able to maintain your energy. I just play solo Sanctuary Onslaught for testing, for the showcase to you guys. But odds are you're going to be playing it with a group. As you can see, still very effective. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned, we will be doing low-key. And maybe some Biggs' Arsenal. But anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye now.